Hey folks, this might be an interesting one. Um, it's like 3 a.m. and can't sleep. It's really rainy here in Texas. It's kind of cold, not super cold, but just cold enough to make it too uncomfortable to sleep. Really, my little puppy, he's not having a problem. I got him all covered up. He's loving it. But, as long as my baby's good, I'm good. Um, be a little tired when I go to church this morning, but that's cool. Um, how come none of you told me I was like playing with my hair and touching my face so much? I depend on you guys to let me know when I'm not being professional with this. Um, let's see. I'm going to tell you about some dreams, and I'm going to go into in depth on it. That I wasn't going to fix because it was coming out. Good enough. Um, okay. Yeah, let's go ahead and do this one. It's all about dreams. Um, growing up as an unusual child, I've always had strange dreams. When I was younger, I had a lot of night terrors. And when I was really, really young, I could swear there was a dark presence out. I mean, because where I slept, there was a window in the kitchen all the way at the other end of the house, but a little square window. And some nights I just knew something was looking at me through that window, and it caused such a paralyzing terror that I would just hide under the covers and try to breathe as shallowly as I could. I mean, it was that terrifying. So there's no doubt in my mind that since I was a child, I've been pursued, haunted, whatever you want to call it, by something dark. Um, a couple times I was almost kidnapped in San Diego, California, because I used to run around when I was really young. Um, yeah, invited into cars, try to, people trying to tell me, hey, I need some help moving. Come help me out. And I always had that intuition, born with it. So I could tell there was something just not right about their vibe. And I wouldn't have gone, I was street smart enough by then to already know better. So none of those people got me. And God forbid what would have happened if somebody had. I'd probably not be here as your humble narrator, your humble narrator from Clockwork Orange. Uh, okay, am I getting off track? Well, a little bit, but I'm just trying to provide some context so that you know this has been going on my whole life. Ever since I was old enough to even think and contemplate, which I've been doing from a very early age, I would, I knew something was wrong with the world, extremely wrong. And my whole life has just been a journey of coming to where I'm at. And by the end of this video, you'll know why I think this is kind of an important period of time. Um, so, whenever I was doing anything, it's weird. I got this sodium light over here, street light. It's making me look orange. Oompa loompa doompa dee doom. Uh, why am I avoiding? Do I not want to even breach this topic? I'm catching that. Yeah, my mind. I can catch my mind when it's shying away from stuff now, and I put on the brakes, staying focused. I don't want this to be like an hour-long video either. So, okay, bizarre dreams, night terrors, and so I've been a marijuana smoker most of my life since I was 15 years old. And now here in Texas, since it's illegal, the only thing I've been really messing with is the Delta 9, the illegal stuff. But when I went to jail once, and I've never been to jail for anything big, it was always for like failure to appear in court and things. But I spent a good 3 months in there this one time. That was the longest I ever spent. And so being off of cigarettes and off of weed and off of everything except for like coffee when you come to chemicals, I guess, um, the dreams started coming. And the first time I had one, I knew it wasn't a normal dream because I couldn't stop thinking about it all day. And it was so bizarrely abstract that I was like, how does this even apply to me? This is just like some weird subconscious garbage. And filed it away, tried to stop thinking about it because I hate obsessive thinking. And then I had some more dreams. I mean, these were like, it became a series of dreams. And there's a good solid 8 of them or so that have come true already. And I'm not talking about like, oh, this is my dream come true. I mean, these were just things that I thought were bizarre and had no context to begin with. But when the time came and it happened, I was like, holy shit. And sometimes I had some indications that it was going to happen because, just for a real quick example, one had me, I'd lost everything, even my trailer. And I've got this red backpack, not backpack, sleeping bag. And that was in the dream. We're talking about months, maybe even a year before I ever got this sleeping bag. I dreamed I had this sleeping bag, a bright red sleeping bag. And I was on the grass and I had nothing, just a sleeping bag. And I was crying and something terrible had happened to me. And that's all I knew. And then the rest of the dream's too bizarre to even like really describe very well. But so time passes and I am at work and at a truck stop, truckers buy a lot of new things, use them once, and then leave them. So the people that work at truck stops get all kinds of stuff like that. But this was brand new. It was a sleeping bag, never opened, in its bag, rolled up, and it was bright red. And I looked at it. I'm like, oh shit, because I knew as soon as I saw it, it was the one, and that scared me. I was like, I don't want that to come true. But at the same time, I kind of was ashamed for being scared about it. So I stacked up and I grabbed that sleeping bag after asking if I could have it, and nobody wanted it. So I took it home and I still got it. But I guarantee you, I will never end up on the grass on that sleeping bag with nothing. I was warned. So that's how the dreams can help. Um, what was the next one? The next one was getting fired from Denny's. The dream didn't give me any context as to why I was fired. I just knew that I was. And in the dream, I walked up and I talked to a waitress or something that I knew that was still working there, and I asked her to get me something to eat because I had no money. And I was like, so, filed it away. It was crazy enough when I started working at Denny's. I was like, oh no, come on, please. And I did my damn best, dude. And I'm a great cook. I've been cooking my entire life. I was a single dad. I cooked my entire adult life and my childhood. So, just long story short, I'm a good cook. And I was one of the, I don't know, there's cooks there, two other cooks that had been there months before me didn't know the menu yet. And I didn't even have to think about it by the time they were still asking questions. So, all that is to say that I was doing well. They had no reason to fire me. Um, my boss hires a new guy, some ex-con that's, I, don't know, I guess a boyfriend of hers or a friend. They're acquaintances at least. And we already had enough cooks at that point. So we were all worried about, like, what's she going to do, cut our hours back? No. She took the least malleable of us, which was me. Because if I see something wrong, I'll say something. If I'm being wronged, I'll stand up for myself. I didn't used to, but I do now. And so, since everybody else was a sycophant, I was the one to go. And she needed my hours for her new boyfriend, whatever it was. So I was set up one day without a backup cook, without a dishwasher. She rearranged everything in the walk-in, so I couldn't find it when I needed to go in there. She didn't thaw out any food, so I had to go in the freezer to get more food and couldn't find any. We were busy. We ran out of dishes. I was serving food in to-go containers. Had a new waitress who tried to help me cook, but it was like having a trainee, so that's harder than even just doing it by yourself. And it turned out to be a little shit show. And then her new hire cook, it was her friend came in, I guess to wash dishes when it's way too late, with my relief. So there's the cook that was my relief, plus the new hire guy who was doing dishes. And it was still busy, so I was helping my relief before I cleaned up and left, just to not be a dick about it. And this guy comes out of the dishwasher, her new hire cook, gets in my face, tells me how he's a better cook than me and how the waitress outside is not making any money because of me. And I'm like, sorry, you're entitled to your opinion, but you're wrong. And he's like, then he gets in my face, yelling, spits in my eye, like from the yelling in my face, and it's all on camera. So I turned to my relief. I told him, "Hey, I'm out of here. I would have stayed and helped you clean up, but this is bullshit. I can't handle this." And I left, and I called my boss the next day to talk to her about it, and she said, and I said, "When do I come in today?" Because she had changed my time, and she said, "I don't need you, sir. I don't need you, sir." I'm like, "What?" And she's like, "You can't handle the kitchen." And I'm like, "Well, I've handled the kitchen just fine up until yesterday, and we haven't even discussed what happened." She's like, "No, no." So that was the only conversation I had verbally with her. And I asked her, I said, "Are you firing me? Because I have no family, no friends that I can turn to for help. You're really screwing me over here, and I haven't even done anything." And she was just completely unsympathetic, completely smug. And so the rest of my contacts with her were by text. And she was careful not to mention, she didn't say "you're fired" by text, so I'd have proof. She said it by voice, and then later on when I said, well, I asked for my hours. I said, "What was my start date?" I didn't ask for my end date because that was only the day before. I didn't need that. So, but she supplies my start date and my end date. She says, "You started here and then you quit here." I said, "What? Wait, what? I quit? And what world did I just step out of and into? You know, what the fuck is going on?" And I was like, none of this shit makes sense. And so I don't qualify for food assistance. I don't qualify for unemployment, which means I can't pay my rent where my trailer sits. And I was just done with that little shithole town, Ty. Abilene, Ty is just right on the outskirts of Abilene, and Abilene's a big city with lots of, a medium-sized city with everything you could ask for in a big city, but just not a lot of the really bad shit like crime. Um, it's full of churches. I've never seen a city with this many churches. There's like one on every corner. Um, Lots of parks. So many parks that you can just go from one park to another park to another park. So it's a really beautiful city, and it's got something going on here because see, God brought me here. Those dreams, they all eventually led me here. And now that I've been in town, the synchronicity and the deja vu is just mind blowing. I mean, that's enough to convince anybody. I mean, except for somebody hearing this secondhand. So just realize your boy is here with his mind blown, wandering around with his intuition compass, trying to get to where I'm supposed to be. Because I've at this point I've accepted the fact that whether it's pleasant or whether it's unpleasant, it needs to be done. I have to do it. I'm supposed to do this. And I'm not, all I want is to fulfill my purpose. I just want to do it what Source wants me to do. I want to do the plan, and I want it to work out for everybody. And whatever my little part is, I'm doing it. I'm doing my energy work. I'm doing I'm trying to anchor light into the world here in my little spot here, seeing the ripple effects, visualizing everybody that I meet as a beautiful light being and loving them, which is difficult sometimes considering even the way the lady at the gas station down the road treated me when I went to go get some coffee. I gotta admit, well, I came out there and I'm carrying this giant backpack. Oh, I got so sidetracked. This might be a two-parter. So she looks at me and she says, "You can't take the backpack in the store," and she points to the sides. But she just looked like, I gotta say, she looked like a hooker smoking a cigarette. She did. And maybe I jumped to conclusions, I don't know, but all I knew was that she didn't look like an employee. And so I wasn't just gonna listen to some random street person. And I figured, well, I'll go inside. If they tell me to take my backpack off, fine. But this person, but it turns out that was a clerk. I didn't tell her I thought she was a hooker, but she thought and she assumed I was like some career homeless person, which I'm not. I mean, I've got way too much going for me to be a career homeless person. I did this to myself, and I did it because I had to do it this way. And so that kind of leads me back to where I was going. Um, I've been making a mental note of all the places that I've seen in dreams, and you know, checking it as a place to return to. I can't do all those at this point in time because what I'm really trying to do is get myself situated here in town and not homeless anymore, um, which only requires me coming up with the money to pay for the rent on a lot, and then I've got my home back. But people are treating me like I'm really homeless, like I do this because I like it, or like I'm drug addicted and I'm not. um, God, it'd probably be a lot easier. No, it wouldn't. No, it wouldn't. Being drug addicted is not fun. I never did like I never got addicted to any of the drugs really. Um, Not the really addictive ones like coke or heroin or anything like that. Didn't like either one of them too much. I'm just like a hippie pothead, and I like mushrooms, and I like DMT, and I like to hallucinate, and I do it very well. I can bring anybody out of a downward spiral hallucinating. I can always make them enjoy their experience. It's kind of like a shaman skill, I guess. Probably the most important shaman skill, I'd say. Um, Otherwise, people don't get the full meaning from their experience. And all a psychedelic trip is a glimpse into what you can get naturally once you are activated. Because I've had way more intense experiences just by meditating and connecting and all this new stuff. I mean, it was all dormant in me, and I got activated. I went outside under the eclipse and I meditated all as long as I could. It was kind of sunny, even though we had clear sky. I got some good pictures of the eclipse, and there's just this giant white cross in it. It's a wonderful picture. It's on my page. But yeah, I'm living this weird, surreal reality right now, and I'm not crazy, folks. I'm not. I'm a very sane person, very logical thinking. I don't know if you know about INFJs. That's what I am. I'm an INFJ personality type, the turbulent one. INFJT. We have a lot of discomfort in our existence, and it's very tough. I mean, just read about it. You don't want to be an INFJ if you're not. No one wants to be an INFJ. I guess my soul might have wanted that, but it's been a really tough road. I guess I'm grateful for the tools that it comes with, but they come at a cost. Come at a big cost. I mean, you feel two, three times as much as anyone else does. Things affect you that shouldn't because they're outside you, and it takes a lot of honing and a lot of polish before you can block negative energies, and mostly the will to do it, because even having a skill, if it's not your practice, then you're still going to self-sabotage all the time and allow it to be done to you. I've had a real problem my whole life, like the money energy. I've got this hatred for money, and I grew up poor, and no one in my family has ever been really successful that I can tell. Um, so there's something generational there, and I'm trying to figure that out. And I think I'll figure it out. I know I'll figure it out. I'm going to break some cycles here. That's what I'm doing, and that's why it hurts so much, because this is really feels like I'm being stretched thin, like to the breaking point, and then and then you let go, and it just kind of like shrinks back in. You feel it's the best I can do, I guess. But you folks wouldn't believe how trippy it is, seeing all these places that I've never been and knowing I've been there before, and so that's kind of like the guideposts that are taking me where I'm going. But here's the important part after all my rambling. Uh, this is the point in my dreams where it started getting weird, where like society is going to break down soon. And if it doesn't happen, good. But pay attention to the next 3 weeks, because I know that I'm not out here that long. And while I'm out here, it changes. Something happens. Um, there's a crackdown of some sort. So you know how they did us with the COVID? They just wailed on us with that COVID thing. This is going to be worse. This is going to be like where they're scanning people's social media, like China is, your social credit score, except that there's already places set up to contain lots of people. Look up your Walmart stories, and I've seen it myself. What they'll do is they'll take a Walmart, and this is, they planned this. I mean, Walmart is connected to the government in really strange ways. Just look it up. I don't. This video is already long, but what I'll say shortly is they'll say they're going to remodel it, and they'll gut the place, and then they'll set up what looks like kennels inside, that chain link kennel type cells. And then at the home and garden area where it's all chain link fence, they set up a turnstile type entry where, like you would get at a prison release, where it only turns one way. And and then it's a big open area for like a holding tank, like where you just keep people that aren't separated. And then they put out inward facing razor wire and stuff, stuff to keep you from getting out, not keep you from getting in. And then they don't reopen the Walmart. It's just they're gutted and refitted for incarceration. It looks like. I mean, you can ask anybody who's seen it. The videos are disappearing offline about that. YouTube used to be full of videos of people um, filming a Walmart that was being done like this. So I feel they're going to use those in other facilities, and they're just going to start grabbing people. You know, because what I remember. Okay, here's the dream. And the inflation hadn't happened like this back when I mean, Trump was still president when I had this dream, but everything was way more expensive, like way, way, way more, even when it is now. Like I went into a convenience store, and I remember this part specifically, and all I could afford was one of those 20-ounce sodas and a bag of chips, which is not even what I wanted to eat, but it was the only thing I could afford with $20. $20 for a bag of chips, a small one, and a drink. I hope that doesn't come true, but remember I said it if it does. Also, during the day, the streets were deserted. It looked like a ghost town, and this is a good-sized city. But at night, like people would move around, and they wouldn't wander. They would have a destination, and they would just beeline to it and get there, and then not, because they're just snatching people up, you know. So people are hiding. And I also remember the city was sectioned off, like into sectors, and there are checkpoints, and you couldn't freely travel between all the areas of the city. You had to produce identification or whatever they're using. The whole framework's in place for that already. I mean, you guys realize this, right? It's all set up. They've done their work, and they're ready. They're just ready to close the jaws of the trap, and they're just feeding the division so that, you know, we're doing a really good job of killing each other at this point, doing a great job of it. I mean, they're going to let us do the work for them until that stalls out and people realize what's going on and stop. And then when people get together and start forming large resistances, not just to protest, but literally start gathering outside county city buildings and stuff like that in large crowds, that's when they were going to realize the jig's up, and it'll be phase two. And at this point, I mean, they can just grab you. They can grab you. So if you think you're safe, folks, and it doesn't matter how much money you've got. I mean, if you've got tons of money and you're in government, you're probably part of it, so you're safe. But the vast majority of people are going to be in fear and hiding and persecuted. At least that's how the dream went. And I hope that enough good stuff has happened. There's a lot of light workers in the world, and we're all doing our work. And y'all are out there, you know what we're talking about. And this could change things. So I'm not going to say that what I'm talking about happened. I mean, this could have been this was a possible timeline. I'll say that for sure. And it maybe still is for some, but I think that it's not going to affect others who have gone beyond that illusion and don't live in the illusion anymore. I think we are going to be separated. You know, maybe we'll just turn invisible to all the rest of the people, right? We'll live in 5D right next to everybody living in 3D, loving them from afar, not really able to help personally. You know, maybe we can nudge, but we can't. I can just imagine that's what our soul groups are doing for us right now. And I think I know. I'm not gonna say I think. I know all of us good, loving people who just want to be true humans to each other and uplift each other. We're gonna be spared what's gonna happen to the rest of the people who choose destruction and the illusion. And I'll just share one of the scary dreams that I had. I remember wandering around and things were breaking down in society. I mean, this is a little bit further on, obviously, because you didn't run into people very often at all. In fact, I don't remember running into a single living individual at this point. A lot of empty, abandoned buildings and just post-apocalyptic scenery. Um, I remember a theme park, not a theme park, but like it looked like a carnival. It was all broken down, like something had blown up there. Like all the rides were busted. It was weird, and I walked in this one building, and it looked like a slaughterhouse, like where with meat hooks and all that, and there were parts of people everywhere, but it wasn't like old, decomposed stuff. It was like fairly fresh stuff, and it terrified me. I was like, this didn't happen not too long ago. What the fuck? I need to get out of here. And it was terrifying. So I'm not trying to scare anybody all, but if you're gonna get the whole truth, you may as well get the whole truth. And I just don't, focus on the negative. So this has already been long enough, and I'm gonna go ahead and end it right now. Much love to you, your buddy Guru, Indiguru. That's my new handle for being an indigo and also being a guru. Oh, except there's an X at the end. So Ru is in like the soup base for Cajun cooking because I'm Cajun. I make a damn good roux. So I hope this was interesting. Yeah, I hope it resonated with you, and I hope that putting the good vibes out there so that we don't see the bad stuff happen, and try and save as many as you can because that's our job. Open eyes and love people, whether they love you back or not. So, sweet dreams. I probably won't have any tonight. I'm just too razzed in my brain. I'm kind of I'm not rattled. I'm just like really chaos right now. That entropy is just blasting. So let's try and turn it into syntropy instead of entropy, and talk to you guys later.